she was always around. Very tight rules, so it's wasn't as easy for a young guy. Let's put it that way. She made sure we were home by 10, and
Did you ever get past 10 o'clock?
Well, okay, you can stay a little longer since you've been in the NHL for a few days. So I gave the extra half an hour, maybe an hour.
Please welcome to the podcast, Nino Niederreiter. And I think first things first, Nino, I always want to ask you about the success that you're having with Adam Lowry and Mason Appleton. You guys are constantly brought up as the best third line in hockey. How much pride do you take in that? People talking about that in that fashion?
I mean, definitely take a lot of pride into it. I mean, we expect a lot from one another, and also the coaching staff expects a lot from us. And we don't want to be just a shutdown line. We want to kind of produce as well, and I think we've done a pretty good job so far. What
is there kind of that confidence when you head out on the ice? We're not going to give up a goal here. Is that when every time you step on the ice, do you feel that way?
Yes and no. I mean, obviously you gotta stay humble. I mean, it's a tough league, so there's a lot of great players out there, and you just do not want to get scored again. So you gotta make sure you keep things simple, get pucks to the net, and obviously try their best as your availability to kind of like not let them score.
In your time here in Winnipeg, what have you grown to appreciate about Adam Lowry?
He just does all the little things right. To be honest, he's just a great leader on and off the ice. He's very easy to play with, and he demands a lot from himself, and I think that's something which is cool to see. Same thing with Mason Appleton. What do you appreciate about him? He's as competitive as it gets. It's whatever he does, he goes full on, full speed, and yeah, he's extremely competitive. So that's definitely gonna help our line a lot. What's something? Do you guys get in each other? You spend so much time together. Do you guys ever get on each other's nerves in some ways, like off the ice? Or do you know how to push each other's buttons, I guess is the best way to put it. That's exactly what it is. I think we definitely know how to push each other's buttons. We make fun of each other and try to keep things loose. And sometimes, I mean, you get ahead of yourself and things are going too well. You think you have to score every single night. And that's something which we have to also stay humble. I mean, like I said, it's a tough league to score in. And if you don't score a few games in a row, you just gotta have your patience and make sure you do a lot of things right and things like that. It's something which I feel like us as a line have to make sure we keep ourselves honest. I mean, both of you guys all three of you guys actually are so well spoken. Do you guys talk a lot on the bench? Like not so much about hockey. Do you needle each other on the bench when the game's going on just to keep things light? Once in a while, I would say. I mean, like when things are going well, things are going well, it's always easy. When things are not so going well, it's that's where you have to make sure you talk a lot and try to change certain things, how to be able to produce certain things like that. So it's I mean, everybody needs to do something and bring something to the table. And like I said, Appy is definitely one of the guys who's very emotional and gets angry pretty quickly. So most of the time, I'm the guy who kind of settle him down a little bit. And in New York, I had a moment which I got loud, and then he came out to say, "Is everything all right?" He's like, "Yeah, I just got ahead of myself there for a little bit." So it's like reverse roles there for a little bit. Exactly. Just what's the biggest difference in the team this year as opposed to last year? You guys have been together for a while now. You're growing slowly and surely. What's the biggest difference in your mind? I think it's the learning curve you take out each and every year, and I mean, the teams gets older. I mean, the window is still open. It's still there. But at the same time, I mean, you have Connor in his peak. You have Scheif on his peak. I mean, you get Lousy who's playing terrific hockey. Same as J-Mo. And I think those are the moments where you have to make sure you take the next step. And the way we went out the last 2 years in the playoff, it's not the way we want to, because it's such a hard way to get into the playoffs and be in there. You can't just take it for granted. You got to go out there and go get it. And I think that's something which we all know we have to do. How much was what happened in the opening round against Colorado last year a driving force in the off season and has carried over into this year in a positive way? It's definitely in a positive. Like I said, I mean, we definitely could be very proud of what we did last year in the regular season. We had a great regular season, and you ran into a team which got healthy, and I mean, they were terrific. They're a great team. They know how to win, and that's something which we didn't quite know yet. And I think that's something which we still need to improve, of knowing how to win the tight games. And then with the power play, Davis Payne has done a wonderful job with this year. What is the biggest difference you've noticed on that second unit? I think for us is, I mean, obviously you get the 30, 40 seconds every once in a while. I think that's something which we know once we get out there, we got to make sure we at least we can do is bring momentum to the team and get shots, get some traffics, and hopefully score a few goals. And that's what we have been doing. I think that's something which we definitely praise as a unit, that whenever we go out there, we got at least we can do is change the momentum. Let's go! Hi, I'm Nino Niederreiter.
Niederreiter to the center of the net, he scores!
And this is the Ground Control podcast.
I'm taking you way back here in your days in the Western Hockey League. What was the scariest part about coming to North America and playing in Portland, which is a great junior hockey city, but how much did that help you grow, and especially with the North American game?
I mean, definitely grew a lot. I remember once I got there and I took the first practice, I called my agent. I was like, hey, I gotta go. I gotta come back home. Like, they're all way too good for me. I shouldn't be playing here. And then he was like, just take your time. It's a smaller ice. Everything goes a little faster. And I think the smaller ice surface definitely was fairly hard at the beginning because, I mean, it's so much faster, everything, right? So the hits come quicker and all that stuff. So that was definitely a big thing. And the English part was another one, which you went over there, you didn't speak a word of English. So then your billet mom writing notes on whatever thing,
cow.
like, what, like a fork or a knife, whatever. It's like, okay, so they started picking things up, what you need and what to do. So it's kind of nerve-wracking coming over in that way.
What was the name of your billet mom then? And obviously she plays such a
Bonnie.
large role. Yeah.
Her name Bonnie. She was great. She was retired back then, so definitely she was always around. Very tight rules, so it's wasn't as easy for a young guy. Let's put it that way.
Okay, so she did the nice things to help you out with your English, but she was quick to lay down the hammer every once in a while.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. She made sure we were home by 10. And
did you ever get past 10 o'clock?
Well, I had a chance when I got drafted and I played a few games in the NHL. Then actually Travis Green, who was the coach, and Mike Johnson was like, okay, you can stay a little longer since you've been in the NHL for a few days. So I gave the extra half an hour, maybe an hour. But I mean, at the same time, I had a roommate, so I didn't want to put him in a bad spot.
And what did Bonnie say when you got back that extra half hour late?
She was fine with it after all. I feel like I had like a bragging rights after, so it was all good.
I've been to the NHL.
Exactly. It's like, hey, I got there now.
Well, let's talk about your hometown, Chur. Lots of people always talk about Switzerland, about skiing. What's something else that you could do if I ever came to visit in your hometown?
My hometown, it's very small. It's only like 40,000 people, I would say, and it's actually known as the oldest city in Switzerland. Mm-hmm. So it's right in the base of the mountain. So basically, from there you can go anywhere, and that's kind of like the funny thing about my hometown. There's people visiting my hometown, but it's like a great base to go from there anywhere else. So it's like it's a smaller city. I mean, you got everything you need basically, but I mean, there's so many great places in Switzerland to go to. So it's I mean, whoever wants to come, I can definitely show them a tour.
So, have you ever taken or toured somebody through your home country, a teammate or a friend like that?
They're just like some good supporters of the team, I would say, and we always had that bowling event, so I always played bowling with them. And then all of a sudden they told me, hey, I'm going to come to Switzerland. I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, hit me up. So I showed them around.
Did you believe them they were actually coming? Or
I wasn't. No, I actually wasn't. I was like, I'm sure they just did what I say. And all of a sudden they gave my number. So they hit me up and it was like, hey, we're actually here. And then I actually showed them around a little bit. So it was actually a pretty cool time.
Swiss hockey has always been competitive. Where do you think the next level can go? Because there's a lot of players in the NHL right now. Is there another level that Swiss hockey can get to?
It's tough to say. I mean, obviously you're still a small country, and I think we definitely want to grow as a country, but it's also hard. I mean, I think over the last few years we've definitely done a good job with it. But I mean, if you see other European countries like Sweden, Finland, the way they produce, it's tough to keep up.
You were at one time the highest drafted Swiss player. Did you phone Nico Hischier when he became the highest ever Swiss player drafted?
I don't remember if I did or not, but I mean, obviously, I mean, he was all of a sudden he was so busy. I mean, as soon as he got first overall, I mean, everybody was all over him. But yeah, I mean, hats off for him to able to accomplish that. I mean, he's a terrific player and definitely well deserved.
How good of a friends are all you guys that are in the NHL right now? I know you guys get together every once in a while to play for your country, but how close are all you guys?
I think it's pretty close. I mean, obviously, you kind of talk to all of them a little bit, and obviously, me and Josi are really good friends,
right? Since
we know each other from fairly little, so it's he's definitely the closest I'm with. Obviously, play with him a lot of times. So it's but overall, I mean, whenever you play against each other, you see him after games and chat a little bit how things are going, and it's pretty cool how close we are all together.
It's pretty nice though too. Well, I guess in some ways because you played in Minnesota, you play here now like a rival with Roman Josi, so you run into him a lot. So how is that rivalry, and how do you handle that during game time?
It's always fun. I mean, obviously, me as going for a forecheck, I always get a little bump into him, and after the game, you kind of joke about it. Was it really necessary to finish that hit and whatnot? So it's just little things like that. It's always pretty funny.
How excited are you that hockey's back at the Olympics? NHL players will be able to go there now.
I think it's It's great. I mean, that's where the best play against the best. So it's something which is so cool to experience. And I was fortunate enough to play in the 2014 Olympics, which didn't go quite as well for Team Switzerland.
Right.
But just to be able to be there and be a part of that, it was incredible.
And you were named captain of the Swiss team for the World Hockey Championships. How cool was that? And then you guys get a silver medal out of that whole deal.
Yeah, it was definitely something which you dream as a little kid. Obviously, you're thinking about being on the national team, and then you kind of joke with yourself, I guess, maybe it would be cool to be named captain someday. And when that day came, I was definitely extremely happy and very proud, and it's something which I'm going to cherish forever.
Puck is dropped, and it's showtime from downtown Winnipeg.
Jet fans, game packs are back this season, and you can save big by purchasing a 4, 6, or 8 game package. Select your games from a variety of tiers to personalize the perfect pack that fits your schedule. There is something for everyone. So be sure to visit winnipegjets.com/game packs to build your package today.
Championships, how cool was that? And then you guys get a silver medal out of that whole deal.
Yeah, it was definitely something which you dream as a little kid. Obviously, you're thinking about being on the national team, and then you kind of joke with yourself, I guess, maybe it would be cool to be named captain someday. And when that day came, I was definitely extremely happy and very proud, and it's something which I'm going to cherish forever.
All right, so let's go some random questions here. Alex Ovechkin's closing in on Wayne Gretzky's record. Do you guys take notice of that stuff, and how exciting is it to watch somebody actually get towards Wayne Gretzky's records?
I actually watched it fairly closely. I saw him score another 2 last night.
Yeah.
So it's something so cool. I mean, scoring that many goals in 2 days hockey without taking anything away from Gretzky, it's incredible.
Yeah, is it great for the league too? I mean, like even as a Swiss guy, he's Russian. Like, does everybody just take notice of how great of a goal scorer he is?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's done it for years after years, and there's a time where you kind of count him out. It's like, yeah, he's probably not going to do it. And now he's back in a phenomenal pace. So I think it's just something great to be able to say you were a part of that generation where he scored that many goals.
And the greatest athletic achievement that didn't include hockey for you, even growing up, because I talked to Gabe Velarde. He said when he was a 1,500-meter champion in elementary school, a great tennis player. Jay Mo said his golf achievements. What's a great athletic achievement for you at any age that didn't have to do with hockey?
Oof. That's a tough question. I don't really think I have any other
just hockey
achievement. Mainly just hockey. Hockey.
Okay, well, how about this? Let's settle the debate right now. Who's the best soccer player in the Jets dressing room?
Well, Ehlers is definitely very good, but he doesn't play anymore. So it's so if you take him out, I would say I'm next up, I guess. Sounds a little cocky, but I guess I gotta take myself there.
So you watch a lot of soccer. Gabe Velarde said that Italian soccer is he loves just how he breaks it down, how slow it is, and everything, how the play develops. Do you appreciate Italian soccer, or what? Or do you like Premier League better?
To be honest, I like when the nations play against each other.
Yeah.
So the World Cup, Euro Cup. I think that's where I almost watch like every single game, and always the Champions League. You follow a little bit, but I wouldn't say like I'm a diehard soccer fan. It's just more something I follow, and whenever there's like a big team playing against each other, I think that's where I kind of just tune in and watch and watch how good they are.
You're a big event guy. Padel. Tell me a little bit about the sport that you've invested in heavily, and then I'll ask you about a little more about it. But tell us about the sport.
Padel it's basically an old sport out of Spain, which kind of just takes over Europe, and I think started coming over to the US, and it's a mix between racquetball and pickleball, I would say, and it's and squash. So you use the walls, and there's just so many strategic things you gotta be aware of playing that game. So it's just it's a cool, I would say, cool team sport because you're playing with a partner. So it's a cool double.
Why did you decide to invest in it so heavily?
Because I just kind of love the sports. I love to play it, and I think something when you see how things grew in Sweden and it started coming over in Switzerland, I just thought it was a matter of time where it's getting big in Switzerland as well, and that was the case. And so far, it's been going well.
Pickleball is so huge in North America. What's the big difference between paddle and pickleball then?
Yeah, you have the walls.
Okay.
Right around the.
So pickleball is more tennis, almost like tennis in a way.
Exactly, and you play more.
Is that more racquetball then, or squash that paddle's kind of like?
Paddle would be more like squash, where you have like the wall. You can play with the wall, and there's still certain rules, but it's not always like the harder you you hit the ball, the easier it actually is for the opponent because it's easier to read where the ball potentially could go. So it's just a lot more reading than anything else.
Do you obviously as a hockey player, your main job is to play hockey? Is there injury issues when you play paddle? Is there ever that, or you just play? You don't get too serious about it during the off season?
No, it's definitely a lot easier on the knees than squash. But like I said, there is certain movements you got to do, but it's not a lot of running. So it's actually funny. So the reason why I kind of invested is like there's I play a lot of badminton in the summertime as well, and there was always like a tennis court right next to me, and there was always some older people playing. They're like probably 60 plus, maybe even 70, and you could always tell in their facial expression that they're always like mad when they had to go back and bring the ball back and kind of do another rally. Yeah. So then I was like, well, paddle will be perfect for them because there's like walls all around. Right. So when they miss a ball, they can literally just walk a few feet back at the ball and things would get easier. So I think it would be a great sport for older people as well.
Okay, so I have 3 kids. So why should I invest? Why should I get my kids into paddle? What would be your selling feature if you were trying to convince me to put my kids in paddle?
I think the biggest sell would be just the fun and the joy you play it. It is easy to pick up. It's not as hard as tennis, and you play as a team. And I think it's just like it's honestly, once you play it once, it's just you can't stop.
Is it expensive? Do you know?
It's not expensive, no. And I think, like I said, at the end of the day, you always divide it by 4 people, basically, right? So it's like, it's going to be like, I don't know, 10, 15 bucks a guy, and you can play for an hour and a half. So it's like, it's fun to play, honestly.
Last one for you. Who did you watch growing up in hockey that kind of got you into it, and who convinced you to get there?
Actually, my neighbor. He's playing in the top league in Switzerland right now. He's a defenseman. He's a couple years older than I am. We were neighbors, and he started playing hockey at some point. And then he brought me along, and that's kind of how I started. And met some a great player, and his name was Harris Vitolinch. I think he actually played a few games here with the Jets, and yeah, he is number 11. He had like in Switzerland, they had like back in the day like the Flames helmet and like the key player helmet. They always like different helmets,
right? And
like the top scorer, I guess, whatever. So then he always had the helmet on. I was like, I just want to be just like him. So that's kind of like the player I was watching.
Yeah, well, Jets fans are happy about that. Nino, thank you so much for your time, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.